When you've been with a narcissist, the difference in the way they treat you at the beginning when they have that interest in you versus how they treat you towards the end when they really don't care much about keeping you around in their life is just so shocking that it's hard for people to really grasp that difference. How can somebody who showed such an intense interest in you, such a convincing interest in you, who put so much effort in trying to please you, suddenly after a while just not care? It's it's shocking, and it's very difficult for people to get their head around that. Thing is, narcissists will only ever look at you from the perspective of what you can do for them, how you can make them feel better, how you can uplift them. When you're still somewhat of a novelty to them, when they still see your qualities and haven't really been around you long enough to see you as boring, predictable, then you're in a much better place to massage their ego. You're in a much better place to keep them in that kind of euphoric mode because they still see you as something shiny and new. And because they're in that euphoric mode, they can reciprocate that idealization back towards you. So that's why at the beginning they shower a lot of that positive attention towards you. Oftentimes they really mean it. It's not always that they're trying to play games with you. They do play games all the time, but a lot of it's quite honest in a sense that when they're in the idealization phase, it's very easy for them to love bomb. But yeah, when you are still shiny in their eyes, when you are still exciting in their eyes, it doesn't take much effort on your part to massage their ego, to make them feel good, to kind of settle any feelings of loneliness or shame within them. Um, and that's something you can do quite easily and quite effortlessly at the beginning. Because just your presence, just the fact that they've conquered you, somebody who they see, who they're looking at in such high regard, just kind of does the trick. But you probably would have noticed at some point there was a switch, this kind of flip with the narcissist, where although you can't always put your finger on it, but there was this point where things were pretty good or great to not so great, becoming worse and worse. And that's where the devaluation, the magnitude of the devaluation started to more than offset any of the good stuff coming your way. And that switch, the switch happens when the narcissist starts to see you as just another normal human being. There's nothing further of excitement that they can get out of you. There's nothing further. You don't shine in the same way as you did before. So you can't uplift them in the same way before. You're more predictable than you were before. When you take all that together, the narcissist sees you as being worth less than what they previously considered you to be worth. So your worth has fallen in their eyes, just because they've gotten to know you a little bit more. They've gotten to see that you're human, and they've come to see that you're not perfect, and no one shines an infinite shine. That even though narcissists sometimes hope that they can find some target that does. So because the narcissist sees you as worthless, and they don't really get the kick out of you anymore, you even if you try, you're no longer in a position where you can stroke their ego in the same powerful, potent way you did before. You can't massage, the narcissist feelings of shame and loneliness and all these other negative feelings into a good place like you did before anymore. Even if you try really hard, you can't. Why? Well, because before they saw you as a super, super worthy person. So any little thing you did just really validated them, really made them feel great. But now they don't see you as a high worth person anymore. So no matter what you do or say, it doesn't impact them in the same positive way that it would have before. So the only way the narcissist now can get any kind of good, I guess, supply from you, the only way the narcissist can prop themselves up with you, using you, is to devalue you. Because you can no longer, the good stuff that you have on offer doesn't really do the trick anymore. So now they have to feel better by comparison. Now they have to feel superior. Now they have to chip away at, your well-being, your self-esteem, your confidence. And ideally, all those great traits that they saw at the beginning, if they can kind of knock those traits out of you, if you were a confident person, well, now they want to make you feel insecure. If you were a very outgoing person, now they might want to make you feel closed off. If you were very sociable with lots of friends, they might want to make you more reserved, perhaps losing your friendship circles. So, as part of the devaluation, the narcissists, they want to chip away at your qualities and the good things going on. And by doing that, they're getting that negative supply, or the supply from the negative impact that has on you. And that strangely gives them some satisfaction. The thing is, as long as the moment you are seen as low worth in their eyes, the only satisfaction they can get from you is through devaluing you. And that's where so many people get it wrong. They think, okay, well, the narcissist used to see me as a very, very, very worthy person, and they loved me, but now they see me as somebody who's not worthy, and they devalue me. But no matter what I do, I cannot get that old person back. Well, of course not, because they see you as low worth. And you're not going to switch back to high worth as long as you're with them. So once the devaluation has started, it will just continue on until you say, I'm done, or they say you're done. Or maybe you just distance yourself thinking, I've had enough. And the narcissist might think that you're thinking about leaving. The only times where the narcissist might occasionally see you as high worth again after the devaluation has set in is when you detach from them, when you're in that position where you no longer need them. Maybe you've parted ways, and they initially thought, nah, you'll be back. But after 1, 2, 3 weeks, you're not back. 2 months later, they see you're doing very well. Okay, maybe at that point they might see you as high worth again, and they might want to take you back in, but just to screw with you again and take you back down. But to think that you staying with the narcissist, you staying with them, and you doing your best to please them, thinking that will cause them to see you as being somebody who's worthy again, that will never happen. That will never happen. Underline it, twice, write it in bold, put it on your walls. It will never happen. So, and you need to accept that. So the only way you can really get out of that cycle of being devalued and just having your life completely hijacked by the narcissist is leaving them. And then, like I said, sometimes you leave, you're doing better, they want you back. But if you go back, you know what you're gonna get. You know what you're getting yourself into, so you shouldn't go back. But it's very predictable what to expect. So, yeah, some people wonder, or just some people just can't get their head around that huge contrast, that huge difference between who they were at the beginning and who they were later. With you, how could that loving, idealizing, love bombing, attentive partner turn into somebody who just devalues you, disregards you, takes you for granted, and just blatantly wants to see you fail and feel bad? Well, that's because you went from the high worth person to the low worth person in their eyes. And once you've become the low worth person in their eyes, you'll never be high worth again as long as you're with them, because they know they're not worthy of anybody who's of high worth. But they like to pretend for the first week or 2 or 3 of meeting somebody new that somebody who's with them, giving them attention, could be high worth. But that's always going to be short-lived.